in anticipation of the tropical cyclone which is about to hit the coasts of West Bengal and Bangladesh, let us discuss about what is a tropical cyclone. So we have seen a number of these newspaper headlines about tropical cyclones, which are mostly very common in the eastern part of India, ranging from the states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, West Bengal, and Bangladesh. Apart from that, western parts of India such as Gujarat, Maharashtra, parts of Kerala has also faced occasional tropical cyclones. So thus, what is a tropical cyclone and how does a tropical cyclone form? Many a times we have heard these words cyclone, typhoon and hurricane in context to these very devastating storms in different parts of the world. Now these terms mean the same thing. They all have similar kind of structure and nature, but they are called by different names in different parts of the world. So it is called hurricanes in the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. So in the North and South America, we experience hurricanes. It is called typhoon in the Western Pacific Ocean. So typhoons are a common phenomena in the Japanese Sea, in and around the islands of Japan, and we call it cyclones in the Southern Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean. And so the entire South and Southeast Asia calls these storms cyclone. So how does a tropical cyclone form? So there are a few things which are required for the tropical cyclone to form. The first and the foremost is a warm sea or a warm tropical sea. So usually cyclones are seen to form between 0 degrees to 30 degrees north and south. So both in the northern and the southern hemisphere around the equator, we can see that tropical cyclone belt. This is the belt around which the tropical cyclone will form. So a warm sea and usually a shallow sea, so somewhere which is not so deep, it is required for the storm to form. This is the reason why we see more storms in the Bay of Bengal than in the Arabian Sea, because the Arabian Sea is deeper compared to Bay of Bengal. You require a constant supply of moisture. That is, you have to have a water body from which the storm will originate. And the shape of the storm, which is it forms in the clockwise direction. The winds move in the clockwise direction. It is in the form of a circular wind body. This clockwise motion, which becomes anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. This takes place because of the Coriolis force. So the round effect is because of the Coriolis force. So here we can see the three stages of cyclone formation. When the warm sea becomes hot, the moisture, it rises up and it starts to cool and condense, and soon we see a low pressure cell getting formed. This low pressure cell is constantly the warm water is constantly evaporating, and it is moving in the upward direction from here. And slowly this low pressure cell, it intensifies into a very strong low pressure system, and this system becomes the cyclonic system. And so we see in the third stage, we see that the cyclonic system is well developed with the pressure columns developing. Now a lot of us might be wondering that what is causing this low pressure system in the middle of the storm to sustain itself, and it is only when it is moving to the landmass that we see that the cyclone finally dissipates. Now, one of the reasons is the constant supply of moisture, that is the moisture from the sea. It is constantly the water is getting evaporated and it is condensing and it is supplying moisture, which is actually being able to sustain this system. Also, sometimes we see local jet streams which are seen above and these local jet streams, they act like a particular agent which can just lift the warm the air from the surface. It is getting transferred to the upper air surface, just like we see in case of a vacuum cleaner. So this warm air is getting pushed up. We know that warm air rises because its volume increases, and we see that a lot of latent heat is released. There is a lot of condensation which leads to cloud formation, and the cloud system or the storm system gets developed. There is a scale which measures the intensity of a hurricane or a tropical cyclone. It is called the Saffir-Simpson Index. And here we have 5 categories with according to how much damage is caused, from category 1 to category 5, with wind speeds differing between 119 to 252. So this time remal, it is going to be of the category 1 class, because from minimal damage to moderate damage, because the wind speed is expected to be from 110 to 200, maximum 110 to 150 kilometer per hour. In some cases, we see when we have the super cyclones, the wind speeds can become very high. Now, this is the cross-sectional view of a tropical cyclone. So we see that here in the middle, this is where, this is called the eye of the storm. This is where we see that the low pressure system gets developed here. And here we see that around this area, we see that air is descending, and this air is descending in a spiral manner. So we see a spiral motion coming into being, which is because of the Coriolis effect. Then we have different columns. So this is the most intense part of the storm, is the throat of the storm. The eye of the storm is the cool part, or is the calm part of the storm, where we see that the cold air is descending, and there is actually like a minimum amount of disturbance if you are in the eye. And this has been very beautifully illustrated in one of the books by Amitabh Ghosh, where he talks about two of the main characters witnessing a tropical cyclone. So we see that along this, the more we move away from the eye of the storm, we see these cirrus and cumulonimbus clouds which is getting formed, and these are the columnar clouds, and along these clouds we see that the air is rising, and also in between the air is descending. So the air which is rising is also coming down. So constant supply of this air which is moving up and moving down is happening in this particular storm. And so we have the 3 parts of the storm: the eye, the throat, and the different bands. And in sometimes we have the tail of the storm also, which is seen from the satellite image. So if I have to draw the storm in this manner, usually this is the eye and this is called the tail, which is where the trailing part of the cloud can be seen. The tropical cyclones are very much visible because of the bands of clouds which form, which kind of tells us about the movement of the winds, how it is moving, and it is moving in a clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere, in an anti-clockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. So thus we talked about the Saffir-Simpson index and how it can classify hurricanes, and some of the most devastating storms which have taken place in the Indian subcontinent. I am putting the link of a particular news article which lists some of the most devastating storms. Do click on the link and have a read. So the 1999 super cyclone in October was one which was something I remember from my childhood days, which was something which hit Odisha, and there was devastation. And Amphan in 2020, which brought about havoc during the COVID-19 lockdown period in Kolkata and surrounding areas, which we had witnessed. Apart from that, there has been a number of typhoons, hurricanes such as Hurricane Katrina and others, which have actually caused devastation in different parts of the world. The devastation can be in the form of death, it can be in the form of damage to property. So I hope you liked this video. Please let me know if you would like me to make such more videos in the comment section, and see you in the next video. Bye.